Hello. How's everybody doing in internet land? Look at that. Look at that sun. It's still kind of sunshiny outside. That's what I like to see. This stupid winter daylight savings time crap. Oh well. Like, the one benefit of going to work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon is that, like, as early as the sun, it never quite sets at 4 o'clock. So I kind of still have daylight throughout most of my day, regardless. Speaking of which, today has been more or less a success. I did some video editing. I spent way more time than I should have trying to figure out my story for the Writers Arena this week. Or, I mean, it'll be coming out like 2 weeks from now, but you know how it is. Like, you have lead time. You just want to make sure nobody flakes out and they have to freak out and be like, ah, replacement! And by they, I mean we. Because, you know, I'm sort of on staff, quote unquote. Joseph Devon mainly runs that, but we get to be in on some of the inside baseball. Anyway, I wrote that story. It's a simple prompt, right? Like, I'm gonna spoil something for you guys. Joseph likes to keep the reveals close to his chest, but the prompt is writing a story in which a storm is prominently featured. Right? That's it. That's all you've got to do. Is just write a story what includes a storm. It can be anything. As long as there be stormy things type happening, you're good. And it took me like 5 days to come up with something that I kinda like. Which is the magic of deadlines, really. Because if you don't have a deadline, you'll just sit there coming up with stuff that, like, oh, this isn't perfect, I'll throw it out, no! And usually, the problem with that is, like, the biggest problem is the thing that you thought was perfect as a creator of whatever kind, like, other people are like, I don't know, that was okay. And then the thing that you thought, like, well, that was okay, some people are like, oh, I love that, it was so awesome! You spend too much time obsessing about making it perfect, and it's only perfect for you. I'm not saying you should just slap something out there, but the great thing about a deadline is it does, like, crank you down, be like, you have to have some kind of a thing by day X, which is Wednesday. Today is Monday. When you see this, it will be Tuesday, but as of now, with the sun shining, it's Monday. Creativity is like, it's this weird balancing act too, where you've got to, like, there's this philosophy out there that creating things is just like, it's just skill and hard work, and like, and I get that, like, you gotta practice your craft, you gotta, you know how to do the things you're doing and practice and get good, but there's an element of it that is, let's call it emotional. At some level, you need to feel at peace with the thing you're writing, or it's just hacky. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Like, if someone said, I want you to write a story in which this happens, and this happens, and this happens, the character's name is that, like, that, nobody's saying that's impossible. But if you don't find some level where you love it, at least a little bit, then you're kind of spinning your wheels, and just, that's no fun at all. When you're just writing because, well, I have to write this next sentence. So I think I found a happy medium. Not my favorite story I've ever written, but so far, I'm really liking it. It's got some neat little twisty-turny things in there that I'm laying down groundwork to make come out, but that's a trick too, when you've got like a reveal, and it's neat when you realize you have a reveal, when you weren't planning on it at the beginning, and you're like, oh, I can use this and this and this and this and tie that together. Okay, good. But you want to give the people enough clues so that they can see it once they've read the story, so it's not just completely out of the blue, But you also don't want to give them so many clues that they're like 5 minutes in, like, well, I know where this is going, and actually knowing where it's going. Like, it's fine if they think they know where it's going and they don't, but, and that's also tricky because everybody's different, and some people are smarter than you are as a writer. But what are you gonna do? It ain't never gonna be perfect. You can try really, really hard for good, though. Hello again. It's been kind of a weird day. Maybe not in a bad way. We had 2 trucks to unload. They weren't huge, but then they took some of our, like a bunch of our guys and sent them over, so it still took us a long time. We still got done pretty fast. I don't know, I think I'm just tired. That's what I think. We found out today that Rooster Teeth, the people who make the Red vs. Blue animated series, got acquired by another online media company called Fullscreen, I think is what they're called. Which is kind of cool, but it's also a little bit, I don't know. Like there's a lot of comments, you know, from fans, quote unquote fans. How can you call yourself a fan and then you go and you just whine every single... Anyway, I don't know. Their videos, for whatever reason, probably because there are so many people and so much kind of lowest common denominator, they attract many, many whiners. Like, I have no patience for whiners. But I do kind of share that sort of, what is this going to mean for them? And more than that, really, because it's none of my business. But like, as someone who's been a fan of their company for years, and as someone who has seen them grow as a business, as a sort of independently owned, self-contained business, there was something special about that to me. And I had no stock in them, you know, I had no personal interest, but maybe it's just the human gut reaction that we have a tendency to attach to a single entity, right? Like, I like Rooster Teeth as a brand. I don't like everything they do. You know, don't really care for Ruby and some of their other products or whatever, but in general, I feel a sort of, you know, that internet attachment that you get to some people with a lot of people at their company, and when they were their own thing, it's like, hey, these guys kind of sort of own themselves. I know that they have employees and really you have a guy at the top and a business structure, but it felt like this is a whole unit that I am a fan of. And when it's owned by someone else, it's this weird emotional, like, disconnect. Like, who am I a fan of now? Am I still a fan? Like, I'm not a fan of Fullscreen. I've never heard of them until today. But they own Rooster Teeth. They're probably going to be at some level telling Rooster Teeth what to do. So if I like what Rooster Teeth does going forward, am I a fan of Rooster Teeth? By proxy, am I sort of still a fan of Fullscreen? Like, I get the impetus behind it. Like, I understand once you get to be big enough as a business and you're at the top level, business ends up being all you do, and that is not, I don't think, what these guys set out to do. I mean, they set out to make money and to be profitable and to be successful on the internet, but you don't set out to immerse yourself in the business side of things. You want to be involved. You want to be, you know, Bernie talked about in his journal that he was excited because it would mean that he would free up time for him to be able to do more creating and writing and, you know, that side of things. And you can't disrespect that. You can't say, no one cares if you want to spend time doing things besides running a company. We don't want you to be acquired. But, and I know technically he's not the CEO. He's kind of been transitioning towards this for a while now because he made Matt Hullum the CEO. But it's still, you know, it still kind of hits you in a weird place emotionally. Good for them, and their success is the best thing that I can say. And I hope that they continue to be awesome. And more so. Yeah.